There's a moment, subtle and almost imperceptible, when you stop living the life others have projected onto you. It's not marked by celebration or ceremony, but by an inner revolt, quiet at first, and then blazing. Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher of the abyss, knew this moment intimately. He believed your real life begins not at birth, not when you graduate, not when you land your first job or fall in love. Your real life begins the moment you realize that you are not who you were told to be. This realization is not always comfortable. It often arrives in the form of crisis, an identity collapse, a rupture in the narrative you've carried since childhood. You feel lost, disoriented, even afraid. But Nietzsche would say, "Good. Let the ground beneath you crack. Let the old gods die. Only then can you become who you truly are." From his earliest writings, Nietzsche warned us, most people do not live. They merely perform roles. They are what society wants them to be: obedient citizens, productive workers, dutiful children. Their values are inherited, not chosen. Their dreams are borrowed. But Nietzsche did not write for the herd. He wrote for the few, those strong enough to break away from the comfort of conformity and stand alone. He called them the free spirits, the higher men, and ultimately, the Übermensch, or overmen. But these aren't elitist terms. They point to a radical transformation of the self, a rebirth into authenticity, responsibility, and creative power. To reach this state, you must undergo what Nietzsche called the death of God, the collapse of all the unquestioned authorities, institutions, and beliefs that once gave your life meaning. When God dies, Nietzsche says, it is not just religion that perishes. It is the entire scaffolding of external validation. It is the father's voice in your head, the school teacher's expectations, the cultural scripts, the moral rules you followed blindly. When all that falls away, what remains? You, alone. And that is where your real life begins. This is not a call to nihilism, as Nietzsche is often misunderstood. He did not celebrate the emptiness left by the death of traditional values. He challenged us to rise in its aftermath. He asked, now that everything you once believed is gone, will you collapse or will you create? Creation, for Nietzsche, is the highest act. To live authentically is to become a creator, not just of art, but of your own self, your own values, your own meaning. He speaks of the three metamorphoses of the spirit: the camel, the lion, and the child. The camel represents burden, duty, and endurance. It kneels to accept the weight of tradition, the values imposed by others. Most people live as camels, proud of their suffering, submissive to the status quo. But then comes the lion. The lion says, no. It rebels, it rejects, it rages against the inherited truths. It breaks chains. This is the moment of awakening, the moment when you begin to question, to doubt, to say, I will not be what I was told to be. Yet the lion cannot create. It can only destroy. To truly begin life, one must become the child. The child says, yes, not to conformity, but to possibility. It is the spirit of play, of innocence, of new beginnings. The child creates values as a painter creates colors. The child is not naive, but reborn. This final metamorphosis into the child is where your real life begins. It is the moment you no longer live in reaction to the past, but in harmony with your own becoming. And here is the paradox. To begin your real life, you must die, not physically, but psychologically. You must die to your old self, your inherited identity, your dependence on approval. This death is terrifying, but necessary. Nietzsche calls it becoming who you are. He does not mean finding yourself. He means forging yourself. Like fire refines metal, suffering, solitude, and struggle refine the soul. One must still have chaos in oneself, he writes, to be able to give birth to a dancing star. Chaos is not failure. It is the raw material of transformation. Your doubt, your confusion, your pain, these are signs that something old is falling apart. Let it. Trust the process. The dancing star awaits. To Nietzsche, the goal is not happiness, comfort, or success as society defines it. The goal is greatness, not in the eyes of others, but in your own inner measure. Can you live a life so bold, so honest, so fully your own, that even your suffering becomes sacred? He would have you ask, are you living or merely existing? Are you following a script or writing your own story? Are you building yourself or being built by others? If you're feeling lost, uncertain, broken, that may be the sign. That may be the moment. Because only when you lose your false self can you begin to find your real one. Only when you stop running from yourself can you begin to face who you really are and who you could become. Nietzsche never promised it would be easy. That is when your real life begins. But beware, this moment of awakening, of truly beginning your life, does not guarantee peace. It brings war, an inner war. Nietzsche knew it intimately. He was not a man of easy answers or smooth paths. He walked alone, misunderstood in his time, plagued by illness and isolation. Yet from that solitude emerged a voice unlike any other, a voice that whispers to you even now. Dare to become who you are. To begin your real life is to wage war on mediocrity, within yourself, first of all. It means confronting the voices that say, you can't, you shouldn't, that's not who you are. Nietzsche would urge you to question, who planted those voices? Were they ever truly yours? The path of becoming is not about addition, it is about subtraction, stripping away the layers of imitation, comparison, conformity. It is unlearning the fear of judgment. It is learning how to stand still while the world tries to pull you back into its rhythm. When you finally stop dancing to other people's music, you may hear, faintly at first, your own melody. Nietzsche believed that life is a work of art, not something to be consumed, not something to be endured, but something to be shaped, chiseled, crafted. You are not a finished product. You are a becoming. Your task is not to arrive, but to create, again and again. This is why he distrusted systems, doctrines, final truths. Anything that claimed to give you ready-made answers was, to Nietzsche, dangerous, because it short-circuited your becoming. It lulled you into comfort. But comfort, he warned, is the enemy of greatness. He admired those rare individuals who could say yes to life in all its brutality. Those who could embrace not only joy, but suffering, not only pleasure, but pain. He called this amor fati, the love of fate. Not resignation, but radical acceptance, a defiant, almost rebellious affirmation. This too is mine. This pain, this failure, this moment, I claim it. When you begin your real life, you stop asking for life to be different. You stop negotiating with reality. Instead, you look at what is and choose it. Not because it is easy, but because it is yours. There's an incredible power in this, a freedom. When you no longer need the world to approve, when you no longer need your past to justify you or your future to save you, then finally, you are alive. Live dangerously, Nietzsche said. Not recklessly, but authentically. Dare to risk, dare to speak, dare to live without masks. To Nietzsche, freedom wasn't the absence of constraints. It was the courage to impose your own form on chaos, the courage to self-legislate. Become your own lawgiver, he challenged. This doesn't mean selfishness. It means responsibility. The highest kind of responsibility. Toward your own soul. This is not a one-time event. You don't begin your real life once and then coast. It is a continual process, a forging, a burning, a becoming. You will lose yourself again. You will forget. You will fall back into the roles, the routines, the illusions. But once you've glimpsed your own potential, your own truth, the memory of it haunts you. You cannot go back to sleep. The world around you may not understand. That's expected. Nietzsche himself was dismissed, ridiculed, even pitied. But he didn't write for the masses. He wrote for the one reader who would be brave enough to listen. Maybe that reader is you, and if it is, then hear this. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply on the edge of becoming. And yes, it hurts. Birth always does. You may be at the point in your life where everything feels like it's falling apart. Nietzsche would call that a sacred moment, a necessary death. Do not resist it. Use it. Ask, what is trying to emerge from this collapse? What part of me is trying to be born? This is where courage matters more than intelligence, more than talent, more than knowledge. Courage to face yourself, to stand in the fire of your own transformation. Courage to endure solitude, because true becoming often happens alone. The higher we soar, Nietzsche wrote, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. Let them misunderstand. Let them talk. Your real life is not a performance. It is a pilgrimage. In the end, Nietzsche wasn't just offering a philosophy. He was issuing a challenge. Will you live a second-hand life, or will you create something original from your own pain, your own joy, your own chaos? Most will not. Most will return to comfort, to borrowed beliefs, to the safety of the herd. But if even one person hears the call and dares to follow it, then Nietzsche's voice still echoes across time, not to tell you what to believe, but to urge you to believe in yourself, to live as if your life is your masterpiece, because it is. So where does your real life begin? Right now. Not when you're ready. Not when it's perfect. Not when you have answers. Right now, at the edge of everything you thought you were.